the dream.
So this is a story about my hamster Zippy and my dad. So one night in the middle of the night, my dad was a bit thirsty, so we went down to the kitchen to get a glass of water. What he didn't know was that my hamster Zippy, he'd escaped from his cage in the middle of the night. So my dad, he was just getting his water, minding his own business, and he turns around, and all of a sudden, my hamster Zippy, he stands up on his hind legs and he hisses at my dad. We all heard my dad scream that night. And from that day forwards, it just proved to me that my hamster Zippy, he was just pure evil. From the very first time I picked him up, he bit me. And he just bit everyone who picked him up, though. He was just evil.
All dogs can be funny in different ways, can't they? And when you watch her playing in the park and she's running and being chased and jumping over other dogs, it can be quite funny. But last weekend we went to visit a friend of mine who has a cat, and Dora doesn't like cats. So the cat went to live in somebody else's house while we were visiting, but there was a cat flap in the door, and the cat came back one evening for her tea, and Dora saw it. And Dora likes cat food as well, she'll eat it. So I have a picture of her trying to get through the cat flap to get at the cat and the cat's tea. And of course the cat is a bit smaller than Dora, so this photograph is her head and a paw and another paw, and she's trying really hard, and in the end she has to wiggle to get through, and I really thought we were phoning the fire brigade because she'd be stuck. But she got through. I think she breathed in very hard, and the cat did a runner, and she got the cat's tea.
I had a cat called Shadow, and I always used to feed it sweets. It kept coming to me, looking at me, and I just fed it sweets, or it just took sweets itself, and it was pretty cool. But then I realised that each time I kept on feeding it, I noticed it within months. It started getting bigger and bigger each time it came to me, but I didn't really care. I don't fat shame here. I accept all body shapes, so I kept on feeding it. But then the cat all of a sudden started vomiting grey liquids and all that, and it was nasty. So then my mum took it to the vets, and then my mum told me, stop feeding the cat sweets, it has diabetes. But obviously, I didn't listen. I kept on feeding it sweets. And then a couple weeks later, the cat died. A sad, miserable death.
My name's Candice, and this is my bearded dragon, Rocky. I came across someone on the internet who said that they let their bearded dragon run around when they go out because they said it's nicer for the animals to have a bit of freedom. So one morning, it was a work day. I was going to go out to work at about 10 a.m. But I decided to go out for a half an hour run around the local park. And I took Rocky out of the vivarium and I put her on the floor and just let her just run around. And yeah, went out for a jog, came back, and I couldn't see where she'd gone. And I was just thinking, she's probably around somewhere, but I didn't really have time to hunt for her. So I just got my work stuff ready and then left for work, and then came back that evening and was like, right, I still couldn't see her. So I just started to look for her. And I checked all the usual places because she's not usually that good at hiding. So, but I couldn't find her anywhere. And it was getting on for about midnight, and I was still checking every drawer, checking under the bed, checking round the backs of things. And this went on for an entire week. I'd come home from work and literally try again to find where she'd gone. Even thought that maybe someone had stolen her, but couldn't work out how that would have happened. But yeah, eventually after about 2 months, I think I just gave up. I just kind of accepted that I'd lost her and was just really sad about it, but had decided to try and move on. Anyway, the next week I got a train down to a place called Tunbridge in Surrey, and there's a centre there called the National Reptile Welfare Centre. So they have loads of reptiles there that are have been given up by their owners. I went down there and I got Clover, who was 9-year-old bearded dragon. But about a week after Clover arrived, I was hoovering and I was just like doing a bit of cleaning that was a little bit more thorough than usual. I'd already searched under the bed, except these 2 storage boxes. I pulled one out to kind of vacuum a little bit more closely round it. And as I pulled the storage box out, I saw Rocky's tail on top of the box. And I was like, oh my goodness, I'm about to find Rocky's body. So I pulled the box out properly, and Rocky was sitting on top of it, and she just looked up at me as if to say, where have you been? So I was like, oh my goodness. So I picked her up and checked her over, and she was actually fine. She was really calm. She was like she is today. She was really chilled. And I was like, oh my goodness. So yeah, then I had 2 bearded dragons.
It's the dream.